Bank Holiday Monday, but I'm still with Joe Edwards because there is plenty to talk about over the weekend. Joe, quiet one for yourself, I am sure. Let's get on with the big news, and I guess the news that's been rumbling on for quite a while now is that Matt Doherty completed his move to Spurs. Nothing, I guess, too crazy about that because we all knew that was coming. But the transfer fee, I think, is what everybody's talking about, Joe.
It is, yeah. I mean, there's been a few kind of varying reports over it as well. I mean, initially it was 12, rising to 15 and things like that. Understand it's an outright 15 million. No add-ons, no kind of Champions League bonus or anything like that. Just a flat-out 15 million. And it does seem low, doesn't it? When you first look at it and the more you evaluate it. I mean, I've put out a comment piece today which kind of tries to explain some of the reasons that it might be so low. I think now for how good Dougherty has been in the wider footballing world, he's not the most glamorous of names. I think that's fair to say. 28, turning 29 soon, and so there's perhaps not much sell-on value for Spurs there. And George Mendes is his agent as well as him wanting the move. So, it does seem low, and I think it would be fair to argue that Wolves, maybe could have held out for around 20 million. I think a lot more fans would find it a bit easier to take, but that ultimately the onus is on delivering new faces now. I mean, Wolves must be confident that fee is enough to do what they want to do in this window, so time will tell, and fingers crossed to get it right.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the Mendes factor. Obviously, Doherty changed agents to Mendes before he signed that new deal until 2023 with the club. He's obviously very pally with Jose Mourinho, got a great relationship with him. And look, Wolves have had some incredible deals through Mendes over the years. Players who maybe are very much undivided, who've got a bargain. I mean, João Moutinho comes to mind for 5 million. Even the Rui Patricio situation and what they got him for, even in the end, was still a bargain. Willy Bolly. These are the kind of players where Wolves have really benefited. And I guess this is the first time when you look at where they've been on the other end. And this will happen in the Mendes world. And, he's got very obviously close links to Wolves, as we know, but he's got close links everywhere else. And it's very much a balancing act. I think this is the big shock with the fee, because yes, it is. I get your points that he's 28 years old and maybe his value to Wolves is maybe greater and he's sexier in a name than he is to the rest of the country. But at the same time, only Trent Alexander-Arnold has got more goals and more assists than him last season. He's been one of Wolves' most consistent performers, and when you look at it on the face of it, well, I don't even know who Wolves' right wing back at the moment. Is it Mattison who's in the squad, or Adama Traore? So you can understand the panic, you can understand the frustration, but this is what Mendes does.
Yeah, and the mood at Wolves seems. I know there's a bit of frustration, and right, understandably so. I can completely understand it. You'd want to have a replacement in before you get rid of a key player, but that's just not how it's panned out this time. But the mood seems quite confident and relaxed. Of course, well, not relaxed, but determined to get the right players in. I mean, we saw Jeff Shee say, he feels the move is in the best interests of the club, and it's up to kind of the recruitment team and Shee and Nuno as well will play a part as well to kind of deliver on that now. It wouldn't have been a bit.
But you would. Sorry, Joe, to cut you off, but you would expect if they were going to get rid of Doherty that there would be someone who they were very, very confident of getting. I'd be stunned if they just sold him and thinking, well, we'll replace him. No rush. It's all fine. We'll start the season in two and a bit weeks. But it seems to me like there's not someone who's going to be announced today or yesterday. You mentioned before, we were talking off camera about when Barry Douglas was sold, and kind of a lot of people were frustrated about that. But Johnny Otto was already in; he was already at the club. So this is if they haven't got someone in, surely this is a massive gamble by the club.
It's a watershed moment. It's probably the boldest move that Fowson have made. Of course, players have been moved on in the past to Helder Costa, even Cavaleiro, but their time at Wolves, for a lot of people, had already come to an end, really. It was a natural conclusion. Matt Doherty, I mean, I think there was always going to be a big name departure. That's just part and parcel of football, but
Sure.
said it on the podcast. I didn't think he'd be Matt Dougherty. He's just kind of ingrained in the fabric of Wolves, and you just kind of saw him as a Wolves player through and through. But things have changed, and things can change quickly in football, and hopefully things changing quickly in football, they'll get the replacements in soon, because you're looking at it, Sheffield United, a couple of weeks' time, Oscar Berg would probably be the natural right wing back, but I think, the more you think about it, if they don't get anybody in before then, I mean, lo and behold, then I think it'd probably be Adama Traore who plays in that role maybe for a couple of weeks. But it's time to act, really. It's they've got till early October, but the clock is still very much ticking.
Yeah, you look at the transfers, and we're talking about 4 or 5 in, and at the same time, are we looking at 5 or 6 in now? And yet it is 0, and you're a couple of weeks away from the start. They definitely need to get going quickly. Of course, moving on from Matt, and that is Maitland-Niles, who was the one who Wolves has put in a bid. It got rejected. We all watched, or most of us watched, the Community Shield. The absolute worldie, of course he did. He's called into the England squad. Look, I mean, I think there's still an interest there. But you can understand why Arsenal are like, oh, well, hang on a minute here. At least we're upping our fee potentially from what we're asking for before. And 2, look, I mean, I think a lot of the Arsenal fans, when the reaction that he initially could have been sold to Wolves, was one of absolute dismay. So you look at that and you factor in the weekend, and goodness me, I mean, that's still a story that's brewing. But is that something that you think that there is still interest there, and that Wolves could maybe get a deal done?
Yeah, I think there's still an interest there. I wouldn't class it as completely dead in the water. I think it's more difficult now. Maybe Arsenal want a couple more million at least.
Give him it. I'll lend him it. Give him it. Give him a couple more minutes. Get him involved.
Yeah, but that naturally he won't be Wolves' only target though either. They'll be looking at other players as well. But it's now just kind of see the proof of these irons in the fire. You obviously they're looking at players. They recruit thousands of players every window. They bring them up on their scouting system and things like that. But there's nothing to ease the nerves quite like getting a player through the door. So fingers crossed, we'll see that soon.
Shall we talk about some good news, Joe?
Yes.
Talk about some happy news, some amazing news, and that was, of course, the late call-up to England squad for Conor Coady, which is great for him, great for the family, great for the club, great for the fans. I mean, couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Everyone's absolutely delighted for him. I'm sure when he got that call, it was pretty emotional in the Cody household. And the great news coming out of England camp this morning is that Gareth Southgate is looking to potentially go back to a back 3, which you would think would benefit his chances greatly. And if he doesn't start, which he might not do, he's got a chance of coming off the bench and winning that first England cap, which would be unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about a player deserving it. I think it's long overdue, really. He's been fantastic for Wolves, as we know, for these past few years. And now, so unlucky that Wolves got to a World Cup semi-final playing a back 3 and then immediately changed it after that campaign. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know quite what the thinking there was, but he's finally got his chance. Of course, takes the squad to 25. I mean, he's a late inclusion. It may not be the first name on the team sheet, but fingers crossed he gets himself some minutes. Wolves haven't had a player play for England since 2011, Matt Jarvis. But if anybody deserves it, it's Conor Coady. Not just because of him being such a nice guy and a great captain and a great leader. Brilliant footballer as well, and if you're looking for a sweeper in that back 3, he does it as well as anybody. His passing range, his ability to read the game, and how vocal he is. These games behind closed doors, you hear everything that he says. It's all constructive and encouraging, and he's a proper player, and he deserves this recognition. So fingers crossed he can get that cap and come back to Wolves rejuvenated and happy and ready to carry on leading this team, hopefully to more success.
Yeah, I was going to say, first England call-up, not going to be sheepish around the squad and training, is he? He's not going to be quiet. You're still going to hear him. I guarantee you that. He won't change who he is.
No, he's not going to be overawed by it. He's level-headed, and I think he's been quite respectful of it in the past, saying, well, it would obviously be nice, but focused on Wolves. But he's going to enjoy every minute of it, as he should. He'll be delighted. But he's representing.
Do you think he thought he was dead? Do you think he thought he was dead in the water though? Do you think? I mean, I must admit, when I saw this England squad, and you think his chance has probably gone now.
I don't know. I think he's. I don't think he's a character that would rule anything out because you know who would have saw him being this you know leader of the Nuno era. You know, to many his Wolves days may have been dead in the water then, and having seen that rise that he's had at Wolves, I don't think he'll have ever really kind of ruled England out. You know what I mean? His career's already taken a great trajectory over these past few years, and hopefully this England call is what it makes him reach another level, because we talk about how great a representative he is of this club. He's a credit to the club. He's, you know, as supporters, you're so proud to have him around. And I can't really think of anybody else that deserves this more than Cody, really. So fingers crossed he gets that minutes and gets that England cap.
And when can we see potentially Conor Coady getting his first cap?
So Saturday and Tuesday are the games, Iceland and Denmark. So you'd think he'll, you know, the reports are that he might play with the back three in either one of those games. So maybe not both games, but hopefully, you know, at least a substitute appearance in one of them. So fingers crossed, and keep an eye on those England games. It's nice to have a Wolves player involved.
Definitely. Good luck, Connor, and hopefully by then we might have some better news on the transfer front as well. Be always a bonus. Maybe 7 or 8 through the door.